I've been practicing my TIG welding to make a box, stainless steel air box, to replace this one existing one that I have here. And I've been doing okay. It's taken a little bit. Yeah, I've got like this one here with this tube welded in there. That went pretty crappy the first time, and I got better at it until I'm pretty happy with the way they turned out. This one is not quite as good, but I've got some others there that turned out pretty good. And then this edge weld here, outside corner joint, been doing okay on those, actually doing pretty good on those, but I needed to figure out how to do this fillet weld here. And so my first ones on that were really crappy, really bad. Now this one I tried out because the box is closed in here. I put it on there, and I was using some backfill on that, some argon purge on that, but still, by the time I get this lower piece hot enough to start getting a puddle on it, this upper piece would just fall apart on me. So this piece didn't turn out too good at all. This was my second attempt, and I was getting a little bit better at it, but it's still pretty crappy. So I made up a new piece here, folded up another box, and it's open on this end. I've decided now on my order of assembly on these, what I'll do is fold up the box. Well, first thing I have to do is to weld in this tube. So I've got some of those with that welded in already. Then fold up the box, do this outside corner joint, and then weld on this plate here where I'm doing the fillet weld, and then I can put the end cap in, and that's an outside corner joint too, which I do okay on those. I still have to put the flapper valve in there. I'll put this end on first, put the flapper valve in, and then put this, close this backside off. Anyway, what I started doing, because it was heating up so fast, I've got this 2.5-inch block of aluminum here that I use to do these outside corner joints. I couldn't use anything in there for backup material on these because I'd already had the ends welded on them. So I folded up new boxes and then put this in there, of course did my outside corner joint, and then put it down on the plate and started practicing there. And they're still pretty crappy, but I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get better. Some of my stuff is actually better, but I've got a problem where these folds, where these corners or these edges are not quite tight against the aluminum. When I get to one of those, it'll blow those out a little bit. But this is the second piece that I did like that, and it's starting to come. They're still bigger than what I want, but I get in there, like here, I got in there and started getting it down to the controllable size and is doing a lot better. Oh, but this big block here is kind of unwieldy like this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off with the bandsaw and true it up on the lathe on both ends, just face both ends of it off, so I've got good square surfaces on that. And I'm thinking about drilling a hole down through it so I can run my purge gas down there, and then the purge gas will come around, and so I'll not only have the aluminum backer on there, but I'll have purge gas coming through there too. I don't know whether I'll use purge gas practicing or not. I'm going to practice some more without it, and then I'll probably do some practices with it. I've got a Everlast PowerTig 210 EXT that I've been doing this welding on, and I wound up going to an 040 electrode, and I've got 040 wire, and that was working for all of this stuff, these edge welds and everything else that I was doing for the filler wire. But what I wound up doing is I set up the pulse on there. Well, I've got the machine set up for 70 amps, and I set it up for pulse welding. So anyway, that was working a lot better with the pulse on there. I tried different pulse settings from 1.5 to 2, and I think 2 pulses per second is the best one. And what that did then is when I made this box, when I folded it up, this outside corner joint turned out just beautiful. I was fairly happy with the ones I was doing before. I knew they weren't perfect, but they were pretty good for an old fat man but that one there is just beautiful. So I went ahead and set up the 4-jaw chuck. It didn't have the pins in it for the D15 hookup to mount onto the lathe, so I had to mount those pins in there. Figure that out. I got it mounted up. So I mounted this block in there, and I just trued it up by eyeball. It's not critical. I just lined it up so that these corners are approximately registering the same in these grooves here in this face of the chuck. And got everything set up, and I'll go ahead and face that off. This cut that I made on my bandsaw is not very square at all. That thing wanders like a cow out through a pasture. The other end of it is a little better, but I'm going to face this end off, and then I'll flop it end for end and face the other end off too. I made that first little bit at 200 RPM, fed in until it quit feeding, and then fed in by hand to the center. Give it another couple hundred thousandths and then fed out. When I got to the outside, I turned the speed back up to 270 RPM with feed in now. Again, I was kind of take it slow and easy on this stuff, especially on a square piece like that where it's an interrupted cut. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing here, so it's better to take it slow than it is to try to get going too fast. You know, those interrupted cuts are kind of tough on things. Be back with your strings and stuff. You don't want to have strings close to that thing.
Oh, it's just on the front edge of it. I see. Oh.
Yeah, it's this square block here that I cut off.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is squaring up this end so it's perfectly square.
Yeah.
So when I put it in that, it fits down in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That.
Oh, it isn't done?
No, I'm going to feed it back out. We'll see how, look at that, how this side's not smooth yet. It's not square yet.
You have to do it again.
Oh, probably several more times.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have to feed it backwards?
Yeah, I feed it backwards. It's got a different geometry on the cutter going this way. The cutter's flat, and the material's coming into it from the side, so it's making more of a shear cut. And that's why it's chattering like that. Going the other way, it's pointing. Okay, that's enough for now. Time for Thanksgiving dinner. That got it. Now it's still got a big low spot right here. So I still got to take off quite a bit to get it down perfectly flat. So we'll get that done. Get it done after dinner. I took that carbide bit out and put my high-speed steel bit in there. I like it better. Okay, that finishes that cut up. A lot nicer. Yeah, that's nice and smooth there now. So that one's done. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and flip that around and do the other side too. I'll just loosen up that. And that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Oh wait, you dumb shit, you just put that back around in there the same way you took it out. that's nice and smooth. So I'll take that out and deburr it. Get rid of this rat's nest here. And I got 2 square ends on that now, so that'll be a lot nicer to work with. Hey, this is what this block is for. Got it machined out here. I just cut it off basically and flattened it out. I clamped it up inside of this box that I built, which is just like this box. And this is the seam. There's 4 sides folded all together on there, and this will be the seam between the 4 sides right there that'll close that box in on that side. Well, that's what that is for, is a heat sink and whatnot in there in that box to clamp that box up to. And then I can take the TIG welder and just weld that corner up. And then once I get that done, then I can take a flat plate and stand this thing up on that flat plate, and then practice my fillet welds between this edge here and the flat plate, like what I've been doing with these. And that's something that I couldn't have done on the little Craftsman lathe, the little 6-inch Craftsman lathe. There's no way I could have done that on that. I think I'm finally starting to get this figured out a little bit. I'm still making lots of mistakes, still wind up burning through this and spending too much time on it. Like here in this section, I burned a hole in this, couple of them, and I just came through and filled them up just for the practice. Along here I made a pretty good bead there, and that's what I'm looking for, is that nice small bead without burning through. Now my big problems are feeding problems, mainly with the filler rod, trying to push it too much and getting it in there too close, and then it balls up on the end. So I need to get my timing down right on that. I get it melted a little bit and pull it back, and it sticks out ahead of the puddle, and I start pushing the puddle too fast. Things like that. I make almost all the mistakes you can make, but I'm getting them down to where they're more manageable, where they're more controlled. So I made a nice bead along here for about 1.5 inches or so, and I did better on the other side on part of it. So anyway, this wouldn't have been so bad if I hadn't come back and tried to fill those holes up. But anyway, I'm starting to get that figured out. It'll take a little bit more, but it's coming. I'm making progress on my fillet joint there, and this joint I didn't hardly burn through at all this time going around there. My beads are still bigger than what I'd like them. It's still rougher than what I'd like, but I'm starting to improve. I'm still outrunning the puddle and getting my filler metal in there too far and gobbing it up, making balls and stuff out of it. But I am improving, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this down and cut a hole in that so I can get this, drive that block out of there. Then I think I'm going to drill this block and set it up for some purge gas and see if that helps improve any, because I'm getting soot and stuff down here on this, and maybe getting air on the back side of that. So anyway, like I said, it is coming. It's getting better. Still got some work to do before I try to do the finish one.